Good evening. My name is Thurman Greco, and I am the hostess of the program Let's Live. We are the visual part of the Reflexology for the Spirit blog, which you can find at the blog site, Reflexology for the Spirit. And you can also find us on YouTube under Let's Live. And we have a number of programs that are aimed at helping us get through life in the best possible way. And we have this wonderful guest here this evening, Andrew, who does come every few months with gorgeous, gorgeous things. And we talk about this healthy food. So Andrew, let's start. Tell me, wow, we've got such a... Can we start with this? I just don't know anything about this. Tell me about this.
Sure. So this is kombucha. It's a little bit trendy, a bit of a fad at the moment, but that doesn't make it a bad thing at all. It's a black tea that is then fermented essentially by a culture. It's a fungal and a bacterial culture. So it has a bit of a kind of vinegar aftertaste to it. It's not strong, but that's the best way to describe the bite that it has. But people love it because it's probiotic. It has these living fermentation cultures in it, which kind of your gut really appreciates. So it's good for you. They also, there's 1,000 flavors, but a lot of them are adding, things like elderberry juice or, ginger. And so there's kind of a secondary medicinal thing that they're doing with them. So a lot of people love them. They can take a minute to get used to. They're a little bit effervescent. They have some natural carbonation in them, but they're great. They can be just really refreshing and they're great for you. So if you haven't tried it, check it out. It's a nice product.
Well, now let me ask you something. You drink this refrigerated?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you put ice in it?
Sure. It's having it really cold takes away some of that kind of vinegary bite. You certainly could drink it at room temperature, but it'll be a little stronger. Kind of comes back to life when it comes up to room temperature.
Now, how many different ways do you sell this? In other words, does it just come in this bottle? Does it come fresh? Does it come, like orange juice comes in different...
Sure.
Tell me, how does it come?
So we have a bunch of different options that are pre-bottled like this, different companies, different flavors, different all kinds of different scenarios there. But we also, somewhat new to us, we have a 6-tap kind of bulk kombucha station. So you can bring your own bottle, which is great. You save the glass, and fill up from any one of these 6 different flavors. They do seasonal ones. This specific station is brought to us by Aqua Vitae, which is out of Vermont. So they do all of these seasonal flavors. They had a mulled cider flavor over the holidays, and they do a watermelon kombucha in the summer, and all kinds of really fun kind of variations. So that's a great way, and you can get people come in and they fill up gallons and last them for a week or so.
Well, how long, if this is a probiotic, then this has got live cultures.
Mm-hmm.
So how long does this retain its energy or its power or its life or whatever?
If you keep it cold, I would say a month, you'd be fine. I'm curious to see what the date is on there. Enjoy by, they're saying January 25th, so maybe not quite that long. You can also, you can brew this at home yourself, which is kind of a fun science project. So you could use this as your starter culture. If you let it come up to room temperature and add a little bit of sugar, it will start to grow this culture, and it kind of forms a skin on top of the liquid and starts to sort of brew. So if you're going to bring it back to life and use it in that way, it has sort of an indefinite shelf life. Then, if like a sourdough culture, you would just keep.
So this could become the mother.
It could.
It could
Absolutely.
become the mother. This is kind of like a beer.
Totally. It really is very similar.
And so you can start, for example, this is bilberry. You can start yourself a bilberry kombucha mother, and you can keep this going
Mm-hmm.
if you are interested in doing that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And this is a probiotic drink, and it is it's fermented.
Mm-hmm.
Which is very important because there are a lot of nutritionists out there that believe that we don't get enough fermented food.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So if somebody wants to be healthy, how much kombucha do you drink in a day?
One of these a day would probably be good. I have read you can overdo it, but I think you'd have to drink a gallon a day to really see any serious negative effects.
How many brands of kombucha are there out there?
Wow, man, there's the GTs, there's Catalyst, there's High Country, Aqua Vitae,
On
probably, yeah, it goes on. And there's all these little kind of, like you compared it to beer, there's these micro kombucha breweries sort of happening all around the country. And again, different places are doing really interesting things. The High Country brand, they put all of these burdock extractions and things, very like deep healing medicinal things in there, and so there's all these fun sort of variations.
So this is a brand new thing, and if you want to learn, you can experience. Are there brochures? How do you find out about kombucha?
We do have some pamphlets on the bulk station. You can sort of read up on it and see what's up. We're also happy we have tasting cups. You can come in and try all the flavors and sort of see, if it's for you. People's first try, they usually sort of shudder because it is a little bit strong, but it grows on you and it's great. It's good stuff.
It's something that you like after a while. It is an acquired taste.
Absolutely.
An acquired taste. Okay. So we have something very healthy for the winter. And by the way, I didn't ask, I know that it's here because this is our winter lineup, but is this a summer drink as well?
Yeah, it'll be around year round. And it's extra nice almost in the summer just because it is so refreshing and I try
Because
to.
it's bubbly?
Yeah, it's I never.
Would you put it over ice?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna explore this some more because this is the first time you've brought anything like that here, and you've got some other beverages here. You've brought us a cold tea. Is it not? This is an herbal tea.
This is an herbal tea. Traditional Medicinals is sort of one of the first kind of companies to really embrace medicinal teas and sort of take them mainstream, put them in packs and make them really accessible for lots of people. So this is by Traditional Medicinals. It's called Gypsy Cold Care. My theme sort of tonight was kind of this winter health thing. We always talk about.
Yeah, we should
always
too.
talk
Everybody's
health,
sick, man. I was just,
right? It's going
oh,
around.
I was in a meeting this morning and people were just coughing into
Yeah.
their sleeves left and right. It was like, oh no.
Yeah.
If I come out of this place without the cold, I'm going to be very.
You please.
Yeah. So these traditional medicinals, these teas,
Mhm. how
many are there?
Oh man, there's probably 40 different blends. They do, stomach ease and sleep aids, headache, and they're all very elemental herbs that are combined. This is elder and yarrow and peppermint and what else? So these are very basic things. You could come in and buy them in our bulk herb section too, but they've just made it a little easier and combined nice combinations that will, if you do have a cold, it'll really help you kind of kick it and feel better too. I mean, tea's a very warming, kind of spiritually nourishing drink. It can make you brighten your day.
Well, now, where are these found in the store? Would we find them in with the teas and coffee? Would these be in the with the vitamins? Or where would these be?
These are we have a whole tea aisle. It's practically one whole side of an entire aisle. There's a
Wow.
lot of options. Aisle 2, I guess it is. So yeah, and come browse them, because like I said, there's just no end to the variety of ailments that they will cure.
Now, this one says cold care.
Mhm.
Okay. So, do you have one that says flu?
I think we do have a flu blend. I don't know that it's traditional medicinals, but again, that'll probably have some elder in it, and all kinds of things, both to get at the root of the problem, antivirals, golden seal, all kinds of things, but also to symptomatically just help you feel better,
Because by the time you get the flu, you can't come get the tea.
It's true. You better
You
have
need
some.
to get it ahead. So if there's a flu tea out there, then this is something that people should think about.
It's true.
And with coughs, everybody's coughing. So maybe there's a cough tea.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so this is something we should really look into.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have coconut juice.
Yeah. Again, sort of just something to can brighten your mood, for me at least. Also known as coconut water. Very high in electrolytes. Again, if you do have a full-blown flu and you're dehydrated, this is a great way to replace water, but also to replace those kind of trace minerals and salts and things. It's when you drink it, coats your throat with this. It's smoother than water. It's kind of that thing where it just feels like it just goes right into your cells. So this Amy and Brian, it's a quality product. It's in a steel can. It's not aluminum, which is nice. And it's on sale this month as well, which always helps.
Okay. So that does help, yes, if it's on sale. And this is also would be good if somebody's a little bit under the weather. And then we have, lemon ginger echinacea. So this is also helpful.
This stuff is great. I really think it's saved me a few times in my life. It's strong. It has a bite. The echinacea is a very strong plant, so it grabs your throat. The ginger is really strong, and the lemon is zesty. So it's kind of this shot of, and real honey. It's sweet. They use some pear and apple juice in it. I cut mine with water. It's too sweet for me almost, but it really, if you have that cold that won't give up and won't go away, drink a bottle of this in a day, and I bet you feel better. It's a really nice product. Also on sale, actually. Didn't mean for that.
Okay, now tell me about the brown rice miso. What does that mean?
This is a South River miso. They're a great little small batch miso company, also in Vermont. Miso is an ancient concoction. It's made with grains and or beans, and it's a fermented product. So you use a koji starter. It's an aspergillus fungus that they kind of inoculate, and they let it sit. This is it doesn't say it. There's like 1 year, 3 year. The longer it sits, kind of the more refined and nice.
Oh no, this says 1 year light miso.
Okay, so that's a 1 year. Then they also make an adzuki bean that's a real dark red. I think it might be a 3 year. So it's almost like wine. They take it very seriously. But again, it's probiotic. It has that those cultures that really your gut needs and wants. And again, so just nourishing. There's not generally you're going to make just a simple broth with this. You'll boil water in a tablespoon or two in a cup, and it kind of dissolves. Hopefully people have had miso. You go for sushi and you get miso soup, but this is really dense. It has whole beans in it, whole grains. It's just really special stuff, and makes, I think, you feel better.
So this you would make a broth that you drink.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what would you serve with this?
I like it. The simpler, the better. Some scallions thinly sliced on top. So it would be probably a side dish. but again, with sushi, I think it's great. You can use it also as a base for, say, sauces or gravies. If I'm cooking a pot of beans, I'll put some miso in sometimes. It's just this complex, a little bit salty flavor.
Would you use this instead of salt?
You could. It's not, you'd have to use a bit to get an equivalent salt kind of out of it. But definitely it lends some salt to a dish if you're using it. And this is made with sweet brown rice, so it does have a bit of it's not like candy bar sweet, but there is a bit of sugar in there, which can be nice depending on how you're using it too. So it's just a great thing.
Well, how many different kinds of miso do you sell?
I think we only carry this one flavor from South River, which I regret. I wish we had more, but there's also a brand called Miso Master, which they have a kind of a white, I think it's a barley miso. They do a red miso, which is maybe a zuki bean. But South River does a garbanzo, a zuki, I think a straight brown rice. They'd have all kinds of really beautiful flavors if you really want to get into it.
And you would use miso when you make a soup, and would you put miso in, say, you're cooking vegetables? Would you add miso?
Yeah, you can almost use it as sort of medicine and just say, look, I'm going to put a tablespoon of this in everything that I do. It does need some water to break down a little bit. You'd be hard pressed to just take a forkful of it. It's strong. But yeah, soup, sauces, if you a casserole, you could whip it up into that. So it has lots of options. It's a fun one to experiment with.
Okay, so this is for the person who's adventurous in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have some apples over here. What have we got? These are so beautiful.
Mm-hmm. They are a pretty apple. This, apples are apples. Apples are great. An apple a day. But these I've been especially intrigued by. These are called Cameo apples. Honeycrisp are over for the season, so people love those, but they're gone now. So Cameo are great. They're a sweet, eat out of hand.
So this
apple.
is what you eat when the Honeycrisp are gone.
That's where I've been sending people.
Oh, okay, because when the Honeycrisp are gone, you've lost something.
Yes,
it's
true.
Because that is the most wonderful apple in the world,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. Now tell me about the kelp. Do you have a lot of different kinds of kelp in the store?
We do have. There's maybe 6 different varieties of seaweeds. Your kind of wakame, dulse, a kelp. What else? Hijiki is hard to come by at the moment, but this is a brand new to us little company, Ironbound Island, and it's. I just think they're a nice little thing that they have going on. It's small batch. They're hand harvesting. You want to make sure that you get an Atlantic seaweed. The water in the Atlantic is a little cleaner, I think, than the water in the Pacific at the moment. So I would, try to find that. But again, this is very high in iodine and a bunch of trace. She wants you to hold it up. A bunch of trace kind of minerals. The sea is teeming with all of these selenium and manganese and all of these, minerals that our soil doesn't always necessarily have. So the seaweed concentrates that, and it's a good way to kind of dose up on those trace things. How do you use it? Different seaweeds lend themselves differently. Kelp is pretty hardy. It's pretty, it can be tough, but I'll just, with my kitchen shears, snip a bunch of it off into a pot of beans, again, or a soup. The longer you cook it, the better, I think. It just lets all of that medicine come out into your food, and But some books I've read even says just boil it down and drink the liquid left over. That's, your kind of shot of seaweed, and you can eat it afterwards too. It does soften up after you cook it.
So, would you ever have a seaweed salad?
Yeah, seaweed salads are great. You can rehydrate it, and a little bit of. I might not do it with kelp just because it is pretty tough, but some of the other the wakame and hijiki make beautiful salads with a little bit of sesame oil and some soy sauce and a little brown rice syrup, something with a little sweetness in it. It's delicious. That's a great point.
But right now you're recommending Atlantic seaweed.
Yeah, and which is really easier to find. I think you'd have to try to find Pacific. I don't think there's much harvested on the Pacific, but I would focus on Atlantic at the moment.
Okay. And how many different kinds of seaweed do you offer?
Maybe 3 different brands, each brand with probably 5 varieties. So there's a nice selection. And you
so
can
if a person is new to seaweed, what you just said was about 18 different kinds of seaweed. So easily overwhelming.
Yes, that's a good point. I would, if you can find hijiki, I would start with hijiki. It's soft. It's very, very palatable. It's not at all too strong. And you can just, when you're cooking rice, throw it in your rice. And it doesn't take much. A batch of rice, maybe 2 tablespoons of dry hijiki, and it expands. And then you're getting it without being overwhelmed by it. It's sort of subtly incorporated into your diet.
Something you can try.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so, and then maybe, are they all in packages like this?
We get some in bulk that we package in smaller little pouches, so there's definitely smaller options. That's just too much for you.
Okay, well, you wouldn't know if it's too much until you know. And where do you find a recipe for
That's a really good question.
Just on the computer.
Yeah,
you find everything on the computer.
It's true. There's the one book we all have in our houses now.
Right. It's very true. Now, tell me about this organic yogurt. Where does this come from?
This specific yogurt comes from Hawthorne Valley Farm, which is up in Ghent, just east of Hudson. They have a beautiful biodynamic farm and school going up there. Really, really hip stuff happening. They're doing the right thing as far as growing, and they do some on-farm vegetables. And if you haven't been up there, you should check them out. They're good people. But yogurt is kind of one of these original health foods. It really is great for you. They use a flash pasteurized milk that they're milking on the farm right there. They use brown Swiss cattle. They have a beautiful herd of cattle that they're milking daily. And so again, yogurt is a fermented product. It sits at room temperature or a little above for probably 24 hours. I'm not sure what their regiment is, but so it has these probiotic cultures for your gut, lactobacillus cultures, and it's just so good for you. It also makes, if you have trouble digesting milk, cow's milk, which some people do, the fermentation process makes it much easier for your body to sort of say, okay, I can deal with these complex proteins and fats and things, and they can enter your body a little more easily. So I didn't used to like yogurt when I was a kid, but I'm love it now. It's just a great thing.
Well, now this yogurt comes from Ghent, but there are several yogurts in not only Sunflower, but in grocery stores all over the place, that in this area, they all come from New York State.
Yeah, it's great. It's been a recent kind of boon, and it's been great for New York dairies. Were really struggling. It's hard to make money selling milk because milk isn't worth that much. But when you add some value by fermenting it and concentrating it, it's been great for the economy. And the Greek yogurt craze has helped New York. Chobani is located in New York, and that's been a huge thing. So it's if you can pick something that's supporting your local dairyman or woman.
Well, and we think of dairy as being for our bones because we think of the ingredients, but what we don't realize is milk may be for our bones, but once it becomes yogurt, it really moves out of the dairy range. It's really a protein, and it doesn't, as you say, it does not affect our bodies the same way as a glass of milk does. So people who say, well, I can't do dairy, should at least try yogurt.
Yeah.
Because it's the fermentation process makes it completely different. And we do not, as a culture, get enough fermented foods.
That's really true.
So nutritionally, we need more fermented foods. So this is very nice. And what are these delightful green beans?
These are little mung beans.
Little teeny adorable things.
They are cute. These are we've just recently added these in our bulk section, so you can now just get a handful if that's all you need. But they're a great bean. Sort of, I've been playing with them recently more. Big in Ayurvedic cooking, Indian food and medicine. They at my house we've been just sprouting them, so let them soak in water for 24 hours and then kind of rinse them every 12 hours maybe, and they'll sprout. And you can eat them just like that without cooking them. They soften very quickly. So to throw them in a pan with some garlic and onion and oil and a little tomato maybe and curry powder, and it's just this, again, very nourishing, warming dish. They're just, I kind of brought them because they're new to my radar, and so I'm encouraging people to check them out and play around with them. Khichdi is a classic kind of Ayurvedic dish that's rice and mung beans sort of simmered down together, almost till it's a kind of a mush. So anyway, they have a beautiful flavor, and they're great for you. I wish I could speak more to their nutritional profile.
What? How long does it take to cook a mung bean?
Ooh, I've been sprouting them, so I'm not sure.
Okay,
I would
because
say-
a kidney bean or a pinto bean takes a while. That's, you've got the morning invested. But a lentil is like 45 minutes. It's a much smaller thing. So I'm thinking this should be just a few minutes.
I think much closer to the lentil end, the split pea end, where again they're going to soften up faster than like a garbanzo, which takes forever, or a black bean.
Yeah, black beans take a while.
Which is nice too. If you're short on time, you can kind of throw them in and get them cooked
Well,
up.
and to sprout these takes no effort. It takes a day, but it takes no effort. You just rinse them off and they sprout.
Forget about them.
It's no problem.
Yeah.
What are these luscious things?
These are just your run-of-the-mill lemon. They have a little bit of green on them, but that doesn't really affect the fruit much at all.
Makes them beautiful.
It does. You could paint them. But again, I kind of just brought these that wintertime blues and cold thing. There's nothing like juicing a lemon in your tea, or your if you're making little tonics to shoot back with maple syrup and lemon and cayenne pepper and garlic, just to kind of, again, kick that cough that you have or whatever. They're just a fun kind of wintry fruit.
Well, now I noticed that so we talked about honey and lemon and cayenne pepper and garlic. So you've brought some garlic, and what does this garlic have? What kind of garlic is this?
This is a locally grown hardneck garlic that is just a beautiful product. It's Lee Strasberg is growing this for us. He's actually he's retiring, so this might be the last year we have this nice garlic. But it's just such a quality product. We get used to the kind of California and Mexican soft neck garlics that do the job, but they're not quite this. These are heirloom varieties. They're strong, pungent, hot garlic, and again, they're medicine. If you don't feel well, some raw garlic will go a long way to making you feel better, in my experience.
You know, where I came from in the winter, if you wanted to be well, you made yourself an asperfidity bag.
Mm-hmm.
And an asperfidity bag, you can actually buy them here in town. People don't know them as asperfidity bags, but it's a small bag, and then it has a not a chain, but a yarn neck, and so pull it over your head, and you've got this asperfidity bag, and in it you have garlic.
Cool.
And you wear the garlic
Mm-hmm.
to ward against the germs and things. And there are people, of course, they're older than I am, so most of them are passed on, but that's how they stayed well,
Sure.
was with their asperfidity bag.
I love it.
So you got to be from the South to know that word. Now, tell me about this D3.
I brought this because I think it's one of the most important and accessible vitamins out there. We only get vitamin D a few ways. Either our skin can synthesize it when it's exposed to sunlight, which these days, who's getting any sunlight at all? No, nobody. Unless you're crazy out there.
No one I know is getting any
Yeah.
sunshine.
Or you can get it by in fish. Fish oils have some vitamin D in it. But this is 90 tablets, 1,000 IU per tablet. So basically a 3-month supply. You could take more than 1,000. For this is $6. So it's incredibly again accessible. That anyone can afford this, and it's a mood enhancing vitamin, I believe. Kind of a sun. It has that association with the sun, so it can really kind of help if you have seasonal affective disorder. It can be really helpful to bring you up out of that. And there's all kinds of research on D2, anti-cancer, anti-everything. So it's one of those things that I just really recommend to people to try to just make it part of your morning routine to take some vitamin D. I think it goes a long way in health and happiness, and it's cheap as salt, so it's hard to go wrong.
Also this brand that you brought is Solgar, and that's a well-known, a long-standing brand.
Mm-hmm.
The vitamin department at Sunflower is so overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you go and you stand there, and I wonder, where is the vitamin for me?
Yeah.
And I don't know. But this is comforting because this is a good brand that everybody knows. It's obviously safe because it comes from sunflower. It's not too expensive, and it does make you feel better. I mean, it is a nice vitamin. Tell me about these kumquats.
These kumquats are just beautiful. They're if you've never had a kumquat, you have to come in and try some. They're a winter fruit. Their season is now, basically. And you pop the whole thing, skin and all. The skin is sour and tangy, but the inside is so sweet that it very quickly makes up for that. So it's kind of like, I don't know, one of these, like a Skittle or something, where you get this tart, but then it's over fast, and they're amazing. They're just so much fun. They're tiny. You can snack on them. I have a friend who made a kumquat kind of preserve one time, which I didn't get to try, but it sounded really, really nice, like a marmalade almost. So they're just a fun little wintertime fruit that's different. Again, if you've never had them, come in. We'll on the house let you try a couple because they're just special.
If you know someone who has a child that's having a birthday and they're going to have a piñata, I don't know if children have piñatas in this part of the country.
Yeah.
A kumquat is a staple in a piñata.
Cool. I like that.
Because you break the piñata and out comes all this small stuff, candy and little fruits things that are, and that don't weigh an awful lot, because the kids stand under the piñata and all the stuff comes down, and then they eat the kumquats. And these are just beautiful. And you could make a compote of kumquats. Yeah.
Now you're talking.
Yes, now we're going to have some fun here. So, and this is a beautiful, I love the color, I love kumquats. I love the color, and they're just very interesting, you know. Now, what are we going to do with this?
Again, another one of these sort of winter warming tonic produce items is fresh ginger. You can put it in everything, whether it's savory or sweet. It really lends itself to either. Or just chop it and simmer it for 10 or 15 minutes and make a straight ginger tea. It warms your whole esophagus.
Now, wait a
and
minute.
belly.
You're going to chop it up,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're just going to boil it in water?
Yeah.
And how much ginger to how much water?
You know, let's say you wanted to have a mug of tea when you were done. I would use about a thumb's worth, you know, the kind of one of these nodes here, and chop it, you know, just chop it down, fine. And you could put it in a tea bag or just strain it when you're done at the end. Either works fine, but all of that flavor comes right out, and it's just so delicious. It's great, you know, if you stomach for nausea, it's great. And again, if you're stuffed up and if you're cold and if you just feel miserable, that can really kind of zap it out of you.
Well, now, let me ask you something about ginger. If you buy one of these, how long is this going to last, and where do you keep it? And what do you use it for besides tea?
Yeah, it doesn't have an extremely long shelf life. I would wrap it in plastic so it doesn't dry out, and you want to keep it in the refrigerator. But you know, you'd get a couple of weeks out of a piece of this. You know, you can also, if you're in the store, you can always break it. If you just want a little bit, you can just snap off whatever you want. That's never a problem.
So you purchase it by the weight?
It's by weight, yeah.
Okay, so you could go in and just get a little bit and go home and make a cup of tea, or would you put it in a jelly?
Yeah, absolutely. You can put it in jelly. We just made an elderberry syrup at my house the other night, boiled elderberries down and put a bunch of ginger in that. And yeah, anything you're gonna, preserve or anything, it's great. And like I said, it can go savory as well. In a stir fry even, it just has that
okay.
bite to it.
So you can just try it in different things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now can we go over to this mushroom?
Sure.
I am just, first of all, I am really intrigued. I never saw a mushroom in a package before.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a whole new escalation. I mean, you know, I'm used to seeing mushrooms just kind of there, you know. And does this mean that one of these guys that's out here in the woods getting these mushrooms has gone into packaging?
No, not for this specific one. These are cultivated. So they're growing them on probably wood chips in bags in a big kind of warehouse-looking building. It's not very glamorous or romantic, but the packaging really helps keep them nice and fresh. These are maitake mushrooms. Again, in my mind, a very wintry, kind of warming mushroom. They have a really rich, nutty taste. I love to chop them down really fine and saute them, and then kind of throw rice in and some walnuts and kind of make a pilaf, like a maitake pilaf. Their flavor it's different than shiitake and portobello and all of those other ones. It's just really earthy and rich. In nature, they grow on oak is usually where you find them, so they sort of have that association of the richness and the tannins of oak. They're a special mushroom.
Well, now this mushroom, I'm still intrigued by the packaging. Is this local?
No.
Oh, okay. This one comes from California. So it comes from a mushroom farm.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any mushroom farms in New York State?
I don't know that there are big ones. There's a few people around. There's a guy in Saugerties that's growing shiitakes on logs. We get a bunch of mushrooms from Pennsylvania, which is closer than California, but I wish it was even closer. So yeah, mushrooms are really interesting. They certain kinds really don't lend themselves to cultivation. Morels, no one's been able to cultivate morels. They just only want to grow in the wild. But others, maitake and the agaricus, the button mushrooms and things, they don't mind being kind of farmed, which is nice, good for us.
So the chances of us finding local mushrooms at the Sunflower Natural Food Market in a cellophane package with a sign on it are not all that good.
Not great.
Not great. So this is kind of a special thing, and it's not a trend. This is just a product that you guys have found.
Yeah, it's a product that we have year round, and it's one of those that a lot of people don't know about and have never tried. So it's sort of, I've made it my mission to kind of turn people on to this mushroom.
Because, you know, when I go into the store, when I go into the Sunflower and I see these mushrooms, I have these visuals of people, you know, out in the woods here and, you know, out looking for these mushrooms. So this makes it a very, very personal gift. I mean, you pay for it, but this person has gone out and looked for these mushrooms and has brought them in.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that's very special.
It is special.
You know, it's a really intimate product.
Mm-hmm.
And so the chances of it going commercial are not good. As long as those mushrooms won't let themselves be cultivated,
Exactly.
we're in luck.
Yes.
We're
thank
in
goodness. I'm glad they're resistant.
Hanging in. Hanging in. Well, what about these juicy little things? Do you eat these instead of peanuts?
Yeah, there you go. They really almost have the consistency of peanuts. This is a crunchy sprout mix, so they're using less like an alfalfa sprout, which is real, you know, tender. They're using lentils and adzuki, and there's peas, green peas, which all tend to keep their body a little bit more to them. So they have, you know, they're crunchy, but on a salad, they're amazing. Even, you know, if you have a soup, you could put these in a soup, and just the texture is really nice and crunchy. And they're live, they're sprouted, they're really enzyme rich. Green, there's, you know, some chlorophyll starting to develop in them. So again, for wintertime, when sometimes maybe it's hard to get all of the greens that we need and all of the fresh enzymes, this can be a great way to sort of supplement that in your diet. They're just a nice product and pretty cheap. You know, this is, I don't know, $2 or $3, and they go, you know, they're dense. You don't have to use a ton of them to get the message to your body, which is nice.
Did I hear that we're out of time? Yes, well, I want to thank you.
We have 2-3 minutes.
We have a couple 3 minutes left. Okay,
Right.
so let's do one more thing. We have so
Sure.
many beautiful things here. What are we going to choose?
Let me just go over these. These are a purple sweet potato.
Look at that.
I didn't bring a knife, or I'd fresh cut them.
Oh, look.
But they have this gorgeous, they're a purple skin, purple flesh. Yeah, they're about the color, they really are, about the color of your shirt. Very high in anthocyanins, which are a strong antioxidant, and sweet, and like a sweet potato should be. They're just a really fun, different kind of product. You could mash these and it would be gorgeous. You could dice them up and just roast them with olive oil and garlic, and any way you cook these are going to be beautiful, which is important. I think it's important for our food to be pretty as well as delicious. So these are fun. Probably limited time. We don't see them too often, so we got a bunch of cases of these, and we hope to keep them around for a while and make everybody happy with some color.
Now, one last thing nobody knows about avocados. An avocado is ripe when you press on it and it gives a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And if you press on it and your thumb goes in, forget it.
Yep.
And when you open it up, it needs to be green.
Mm-hmm.
I do know this at the pantry. Sometimes people will bring in a box of avocados that somebody has given to them from some grocery store, and the shoppers don't know whether they're ripe or not, and so you have to teach them.
Sure.
And of course, now this one it is not. This one is green, but you can take it home, and probably in 2 days this will be ripe. And then you just slice it in half, pop out the pit inside, put a little fresh lemon juice on it,
So good.
and you have a wonderful dish.
Yeah.
And I cannot thank you enough for coming. Every time you come, you bring an education with you.
Good.
You bring so much with you in the way of knowledge that you share. And so don't forget that you can see this program again on YouTube, and we're going to get all of Andrew's programs and put them on YouTube. And please come to the Reflexology for the Spirit blog and to the YouTube versions as well. And thank you very much.